Star Trek 57, M23, take 2.
Star Trek podcast.
See more where that came from, kid? Just join the Indie Archaeologist Guild.
More like space thieves. Hey, why don't you go in that museum and steal some artifacts? I know you want to.
Oh, right. Because everyone who doesn't salute their boss is a criminal.
You know, lady, if you are really dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge, then you're kind of limiting yourself by not being in Starfleet, actually.
Ooh, actually, I was in Starfleet. Petra Aberdeen. Graduated the academy, did a tour in the fleet before wising up and getting out.
Whoa, you served on the Victory? Well, you must have screwed up pretty bad to end up here.
Sure. Why leave the big fancy ships just for a life of freedom and non-violence?
Starfleet isn't violent.
Well, tell that to the Romulans, the Klingons, the Cardassians.
What? They attack us. It's self-defense.
Oh, right. You guys totally aren't a pseudo-navy at all.
Hello and welcome to the It's Got Star Trek podcast. How's that? How's that for a start to the podcast?
Is this 151?
Fine.
Get it right out there. Yeah, this is episode 151.
Now I know. Now I'm caught up with like the number, and I'm going to keep track again.
Excellent.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah. Episode
What?
151 of the
Patrick
It's
asked
Got
how
Star
his
Trek
introduction
podcast.
was, and I was like, it's fine.
All right. And
It's not that great.
We are discussing
I'm
Lower
just
Decks.
kidding.
We're continuing our
It was pretty good.
weekly coverage of Lower Decks season 3. And this week we are discussing the episode called Reflections. So, a couple of...
What was that TNG episode?
Which one?
Doesn't this sound like one of those TNG episode names? Wasn't there a TNG?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of them that start with an R, like Redemption.
No, but there was another one that was called something.
Reminiscence.
Reminisce that classic TNG episode. Reminiscences.
It was called. You're right. It's something like that. Like
There's some other TNG name that's
Sub Rosa.
no.
I always like the Dan Google stuff shows. It's a
Yeah.
it's a good show.
Yeah, where I swear to mumble while I Google it's something, and I
It's,
think it's called.
I don't
well,
This sort of high quality content that you've come to expect after 151 episodes.
there's a
of this
TNG
podcast.
episode called 11001001.
Yeah, with the Binars.
Yeah, the binars.
The not so
Nice.
cleverly named Binars. Okay.
Okay.
But that's not what we're discussing.
That's not what we're doing at all.
We're not doing TNG.
We're not doing that.
No, it's Lower
I'm a
Decks.
little squirrely this evening because just a few hours ago I was in beautiful Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
He was going to Ronto, and then he came from Ronto.
And now I'm back safely nestled within the Beltway.
Now there's no more Rontos in sight.
the Washington, D.C. area, back to the cocoon of the Beltway.
There's an episode called Booby Trap.
Where we feel most comfortable. Booby Trap is great. That's a great TNG
Booby Trap.
episode. Okay, but we're talking about Lower Decks.
We're not talking about TNG.
Oh, we're talking about Toronto.
I'm confused.
We
And
could talk about Toronto, but not
from
TNG.
travel, so don't rely too much on me this week for any sort of insightful comments. That's
great.
That's
It's
all
on-
Dan and Jesse
It's all on us.
Oh no!
this week. It's all going to be on you because my mind is still filled with poutine
My mind has been wondering what could it be.
and loonies and toonies.
Loonies and Tony.
And a baseball falls into my glove.
That's from the Pizza Hut commercial that played on the VHS tape in front of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, the first movie.
And it had that little thing that went. It was
Yes,
like
the
spelled
logo.
It was like F something something.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, you guys.
Yes. Yes. Toronto, Canada. I mentioned that part.
Yeah, good Pat, going through your notes.
Canada is
Sub Rosa.
just like America, except they say process instead of process.
Did they say again?
No, it's just the process and process. That's the main thing. Everything else is identical. No, it was a fun time. Toronto's great. Okay, so Lower Decks reflections. I can start with one point that might have some level of insight, although I'm guessing it's fairly apparent to most of the audience. Reflections is the name of the episode, and it is also it's also, of course, the Rutherford reflections. But then Mariner has a reflection in what's her name? Petra Aberdeen, the archaeologist,
Independent Archaeologist Guild.
She's sort of like a reflection of Mariner. Because it's like the path Mariner could be taking or could have taken,
Yeah, that's something like
competent Starfleet officer who has left Starfleet to go and have adventures and help the world the way she sees fit and getting rewarded by it. Vash style, a la Vash, Picard's one-time love interest, Vash. Yeah. So what do you think? Was there any value in that statement that I just made?
I think so.
Yeah, well, Mariner has been kind of a little unmarinery this episode in the sense that, first of all, she's like the most scared of Ransom that she's ever been. She didn't joke on Ransom at all this time. She was actually scared of him.
She just stays in the booth the whole episode.
Yeah, do we know about Starbase 80? What do we know about Starbase 80? We've heard
Nobody talks about it. It's bad.
No,
we've heard about it.
They mentioned it before, and it was a similar situation where everyone was like, "Oh no!" Except in this case, in the previous case, it was more jokey. In this case, she did seem much more worried about having to actually go to this place.
Right. So in the past, she's always been kind of like blasé, like, if you send me off, I don't care, but you wouldn't do it anyways. But now she's like, don't send me off, and I'm afraid you will do it to Ransom.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of aspect, and then also
it's where they put Neelix.
No, Neelix went off. Neelix never came back. They smartly never brought Neelix back to the Alpha Quadrant.
Oh, okay, good for them.
Yeah, he leaves.
I didn't get to the end of that show.
A few episodes before the end of that show.
He's a shady character.
Okay, I thought he was going back because for most of the show it seemed like he was just going to go back to Earth with them.
Yeah, it was right. It was right towards the end.
But
sorry for Voyager spoilers, but what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
It's
absolutely
it's
nothing.
part and parcel the whole Star Trek
tangent.
The Delta Flyer.
Yes, we'll get to that.
So and to your point, Patrick, what you were saying is combined with what I was saying is that Mariner, because Petra seems all like
awesome
and super cool and played by the beat of her own drum, seeming like what Mariner sort of like we think of as Mariner, but Mariner was like defending Starfleet the whole time. This one, in fact, there was the one time when she's like, "Oh, so everyone." Who doesn't salute their bosses are criminal, and then Mariner like gives this really weak line. She's like, if you're really dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge, then you're kind of limiting yourself by not being in Starfleet, actually. It's like one of those kind of like, she's trying to like come up with a proper justification, but she knows it's weak as she's saying it.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of unmarinery too, in that, because Mariner, you'd think that she'd be like more, maybe she just felt threatened because she saw someone who was similar to her and she was like, oh yeah, you're defending your thing? Well, I'm going to defend my thing. So maybe it could just be something like that.
Well, there's a lot of subtlety in this episode, and it's written by Mike McMahon.
Mike McMahon.
I think this meant a lot to him.
Mike McMahon.
WWE. Rah!
Vince McMahon is his father.
What?
I don't think there's any
brother of Shane McMahon.
But Mike McMahon probably took on this episode because he obviously cares for all his characters, but I think particularly for Mariner.
You said he probably took on this episode because he obviously cares. I just thought it was an interesting statement. Sorry, I was interested by that statement.
Again,
you say probably.
I traveled to a whole nother country. I was in a whole nother country a mere few hours ago. And now I'm sitting here with you all.
I thought it was a fun sentence.
It's technically another country.
I didn't construct.
It is another technically. Yes, technically.
That sounded like a threat.
It's like
technically, Virginia is a Commonwealth. Technically, Florida is a state. I don't know.
We have funny plastic money up in Canada, like in Australia, the surfer money.
Yeah. When I was in Montreal, what do they have? Toonies? Is that what they are?
Well, they have loonies.
Loonies,
and then that's the $1 Canadian dollar.
Those are
$1 Canadian dollar, and then they have the toonies, which are it's a $2 coin, but it's a play on the loony.
Right. And so when I was in Montreal and I had some Canadian money on the back, like we always make. Well, okay. I'm going to rephrase this. I'm going to rephrase this. I'm going to rephrase this.
All right.
There is a stereotype about Canadians and hockey, right? How they love their hockey. Well, on the back of the dollar bill that I had in Montreal, there was a whole like scene drawn out of a bunch of kids playing hocky on the lake.
Did it have like Queen Elizabeth playing hockey?
No, I don't think she was playing. She was on the other side, but that would be awesome if she was on there. But I just for some reason,
the goalie.
For some reason that just struck me as interesting. It's like they really do love hockey out there. But I mean, it's like true. You got all these frozen lakes everywhere. It just makes sense, but it's just kind of funny. They have a whole hockey scene that plays out on their dollar bill. So
All right. So
unless I'm totally made that up, I'm pretty sure that's real.
Everybody gets creative with their money, but America.
Yeah.
Well, we have that cool pyramid with the eyeball.
Except with like fun. Sometimes we do weird things with the coins. But like everybody's changing up like their money in general. Like they're changing up how it looks. Like one side of it looks, and this side looks.
We have the pyramid with the eyeballs. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a.
Do you ever do that thing where you fold the dollar and it looks like the plane's exploding or something?
I don't know what you're talking about.
This is one of those situations where we've gone slightly off.
Okay.
Oh man.
Just one.
Okay, so you said Mike McMahon probably wrote this because he obviously feels something.
Okay. So yes, I
at the
apologize.
ranch.
This is all my fault.
Back at the
I
cool
take credit.
ranch.
I
Dan
take
was
credit.
keeping
I take
track.
responsibility for all this. This
Because
digression.
you made a very interesting sentence that I wanted to talk more about.
I was not fully coherent in communicating.
No,
my
it was
point.
great. It was great.
No, it really wasn't. But
I feel like something's reversed here about what's going on.
Yeah, I'm confused and upset.
With the usual roles going. It's like, no, Patrick, you were doing no.
You could keep it up. You're doing great. What I was meant to say is that
No, I'm not.
Mike McMahon is really good with characterization, and the work here with Mariner is very subtle. We'll get to the Rutherford stuff soon because that's also really good. But the Mariner stuff it's like you say, Dan, she's stuck in this situation where she's defending Starfleet, but she does, as we know from her character in prior adventures, like this Petra Aberdeen is like living a life that she would admire, right? She's clearly got some jealousy going there, but I don't think her defense of Starfleet is insincere, right? So she does.
No, I don't think
she
so.
does dig on Starfleet, but it's also like this battle of like, can she bring her full self to work? You know, there's that whole idea that if you have the job that's perfect for you, like you can really be yourself. You can bring your whole self into your profession. And she's sort of wrestling with that because she kind of can't, because she has to limit it because in the most acute sense right now, it's because of Commander Ransom and having to make sure he doesn't like fuck her over. But in a broader sense, can she really be the Mariner she wants to be in Starfleet? However, if she's out of Starfleet, can she be the Mariner she wants to be? Because I think so much of her character is about being in Starfleet. I'm again not being as eloquent as I would like. I blame the poutine I heard earlier. Yeah, it's filled my belly. I filled my belly up to the brim with poutine.
Sounds miserable.
Doesn't make good plane food, I would imagine.
Well, no, I wasn't on the plane. I didn't. I did fly Air Canada, but they weren't just like slopping ladlefuls.
Here's a pile of poutine.
Yeah, you just like they toss a bunch of fries in your lap and then pour a bunch of gravy and cheese curds. No, they didn't do that. It was at a restaurant. At a proper restaurant, I had some poutine.
So are we going to hear more from this Petra character then?
Yes. I imagine that this is a character we will see.
Is Mariner going to go on a expedition? Is she going to leave Starfleet for a while at the end of the season? Do you think at the end of the season she's going to end up leaving Starfleet for a brief respite? A brief respite?
I do think that. Mm-hmm. I think that she might take a leave of absence. Oh man, I want to have a Sazerac. You all know what I know Jesse knows what a Sazerac is.
I do.
Do you know what a Sazerac is, Dan?
Is it like a liqueur or
no?
Something?
It's a
drink.
It's a cocktail.
Yeah.
Jesse, call it a cocktail.
I should know that because I worked in restaurants for a while. But
it's a somewhat unusual
Not
cocktail.
everybody has one.
Maybe it's newer. Is it newer?
No, it's old school.
Well, I mean, is it come back into popularity recently or something?
Maybe.
Okay.
You get like a Moscow Mule copper mug,
right.
and it has an absinthe component to the drink, but it's not pouring absinthe in. They just coat the glass with absinthe and then pour it out basically, and then they put the rest of the ingredients in.
When I make it, I just put some absinthe in.
Jesse just pours the absinthe.
Wait, so they put it in? Okay, that's what they do with
Sazerac rye whiskey.
Yeah, ideally you can put any rye.
Oh, so
Sazerac.
Sazerac is the name of the whiskey. Okay, that makes sense.
It's because there was a guy who was selling absinthe across the street from a guy selling the Sazerac
and it's
whiskey.
got in bitters.
Yeah,
like the funny kind of bitters. It's like red.
It's got the most hilarious bitters,
and like
this side of the Mississippi.
A zest of lemon possibly, and there's usually some kind of like sugary ice cube action that's in there.
So it's called a Sazerac, but Sazerac is the name of cocktail, but it's also the name of the whiskey used in the cocktail.
Yes.
So how do you differentiate between the two?
I don't know.
All right,
But it's like a New Orleans.
I hesitate to point this out. I fear we have gone down yet another digression.
Oh no! Okay, I just have 2 points.
Classic. It's got Star Trek
just
digression.
two points.
We will
In
permit
martinis-
them. We can't simply end the digression. We have to find an
it's
exit
another
ramp.
one that you started.
An
Yeah, it
exit
was-
ramp
that was
for the
Patrick.
digression.
That's an exit ramp.
All right, here's the exit ramp.
So
Dan is going to make 2 points.
First of all,
we're going to get right back on the.
let's talk about the points I'm about
Star
to make
Trek.
for another
Yes.
5 minutes.
We're getting there.
So you're talking about pouring the absinthe in and then pouring it out so it coats the glass. That's
Yeah.
kind of what often happens with a martini. Is you're supposed to pour.
Vermouth.
Depending
Just coat
depending
the
on
glass
how
in
depending
vermouth.
on how you like your martini. I think traditionally they're often made where you pour it in.
You keep
and
saying
then pour it.
often, and that makes me think of often wrong soon.
Often wrong soon. Okay, I didn't realize I was saying often so much. I didn't realize.
Well, now you said off 10.
You said
yeah,
off.
oh yeah, because
Previously you were
because
saying
I didn't want to
often.
say often anymore, but then you just made me do it now.
Dampeners.
Okay, so it's a similar thing where it's not unusual to pour vermouth in and pour it. Okay, another thing.
Unusual to pour vermouth.
If you're coming over to work hungover, which a lot of restaurant workers apparently do, because this was a known thing. It's like, oh, you're hungover. Oh, here you go. They hand you ginger ale and they pour bitters in it. Pour bitters in a ginger ale. It's supposed to help with a hangover. They said
It sounds tasty.
it's supposed to help soothe your stomach. Actually, what it's supposed to do is, if you have an upset stomach, it's supposed to soothe it. But there's also just a tiny little smidge of booze in there
bitters
too.
has a
So
little bit.
I imagine if you pour bitters in, it's easy on the stomach. Probably plus it gives you a little alcohol that you're probably missing in your body
So,
from being hungover.
in-
That's my guess.
In prior episodes of the podcast, we've indicated that Dan is going to be starting his own video game podcast. It's got
I
video
never
games.
said that.
I'm saying that. Now I'm suggesting that, Dan, you start yet another podcast called It's Got Tips from the Service Industry.
Oh man.
And you can tell us all sorts of tips and tales. How about It's Got Tips and Tales from the service industry?
Tips and tails.
Tips and tales.
That sounds pretty good.
snips and
actually.
I think
snails
that would
and
make
puppy-
for a good I would listen to that podcast.
Snips and snails and puppy dogs' tails.
We can do like a season of that.
Yeah.
Season. I was thinking we could do one where we do that weird idea you had where we like comment on our own podcast.
Yeah, I think we have to do
But
that.
the problem
We have
with
to
that
try
is
it.
like there's no way to do that and know who the fuck is talking and which
That's why
version
it's
is,
funny.
is talking. It
I
would
think
just be
that-
it would be
Let's
chaos.
use funny voices.
Well, okay. So first of all,
use
First of
funny
all,
voices.
See,
first of all,
this is a tangentially Star Trek related digression, so it's permitted.
Okay, first of all,
Yes.
we don't leave
Voice of all.
many gaps to leave comments to be inserted into. It's not like there's ambiance going on.
We can pause.
It would
We
be-
can pause
it would be
shit.
cacophonous.
We can pause. So okay.
Or we could put it at a lower volume or
Okay,
something.
there's a few points. Point number 1, we can pause as needed. Point number 2, the audio
funny
quality
voices.
has improved significantly over the years since we first started. So, if we do a really old episode, like episode 1 or something, then there should be enough difference in that sense.
How many years now? 2?
If you really want to go nuts, we can add like a hilarious echo effect to our
my
current
God.
voices, so we can clearly differentiate them, or we can
That would be
pitch the
fucking
voices
wild.
up to some hilarious.
I say we find all the points in which we very professionally speak over top of each other, and then have all three of us speak over top of each other on that.
You mean
topic.
the parts that are the
change the
hardest?
pitches.
Those are those parts that are the hardest when we're rehearsing the podcast, like when you're doing like all three of us
Rehearsing the
talking over
podcast.
each other at once, and it's
Yeah.
like it's so difficult to rehearse those.
Yeah, I know.
Those are the most difficult things to get through rehearsal.
Yeah, I know, because it's hard.
The digressions are usually easy.
Yeah, but the intentional stuff
Think
where
about how hard it is to write it out.
so we could have. So we could have 6 voices going at once if we really wanted to.
Yeah.
We should do that and change the pitch on the comment in.
I don't know if I can handle that.
We could have one go on one side of the earphones and the other on the other side. Of the
I think this is really great. Oh yeah, we
Yeah, there's
have
stereo.
Okay.
That way you could just
Not like
that way
comically.
you could just fade it, balance it left and right if you wanted to hear one side or the other. You could just
like
balance
a little,
it.
It's like this is getting nuts.
It really is. We got to get back.
All right.
It's
so
really. I still think it's kind of like masturbatory, but I'm willing to try.
It is 100% a masturbatory idea to comment on, do a live commentary on our own podcast.
But
it's also funny. It's even funny just talking about it right now.
I think it's. I'm not sure how successful it will be, but I'm willing to try it because I don't want to be a stick in the mud.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Nothing pooped, nothing snooped.
Yeah, that's right. Okay,
don't you like to snoop your poop?
Or we could pretend that we're other people listening to the
podcast. We could like play. I could be Alf listening to.
Yeah, you could be Alf,
and I just go, "Hey Willie,
got any Picard?
Do you like
this episode about a cat?
Do you like to poop and then snoop around in it?
No, that's Germans like to do
poop
that.
or snoop.
Oh yeah,
Germans have the poop shelf in a lot of their toilets because it's popular to examine your fecal remains.
What's it called?
For health purposes. There's some good stuff. Yeah, the poop shelf.
But that just means it smells so bad because when you have poop out of water, it stinks, bro.
Not if you're eating healthy, I suppose.
No, it smells like a fucking outhouse. If you have if
you eat a bunch of cabbage and dumplings.
No, if you shit out of water, it smells like a fucking outhouse.
Yeah, dude.
That's why outhouses smell the way they do, because there's shit piled up out of the water.
Yeah, no, that's not. The feces does get flushed. It's still a toilet.
No, but before it flushes, though, you're gonna sit there in non-water soaked feces, which is gonna be stinkified.
All right, I would.
The only thing that you could do that's worse is you start poking at it with a knife. That's the only way to make it stink worse.
I would recommend the audience look up this concept.
I think there's
examining feces to gauge one's own health.
I think it's a great idea.
I'm agnostic on the idea.
I think it's a great idea to examine your feces and I think we need to be more open about the idea of looking for health remedies and stuff, and not being squeamish about our poop, because our poop has a lot of secrets into our existence.
Poop. You're like
poop. Our poop holds a lot of knowledge. Our poop holds a lot of knowledge, and we should stop being so squeamish about it. And I'm saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying that the side effect, what's problematic is how stinky it probably is.
Okay,
poop's stinky enough as it is. We don't, okay, back at the Cool Ranch.
Take a break.
It's almost, but we wanted to get to this whole
this whole Lower Decks episode thing we're trying to talk about.
There were some very good points made along the way, or at least ideas posed. One of the ideas you posed, Dan, which I do agree with as a possibility, is that they are going to set us up, probably the season-ending cliffhanger, perhaps.
Cliffhanger
will involve Mariner kind of going off on a bit of an adventure on her own, sort of like when Boimler went over to the Titan. That I could see them, like Jesse, I could see them. We can both see them doing that kind of thing.
I can see that.
And they're bringing to the fore what they've already been. There's already been a bit of this battle for Mariner this season. Wrestling with this idea of her role in Starfleet, her place on the Cerritos, her place in Starfleet, her place in the universe. But again, always episodic. I like that. They're really threading that needle pretty awesomely, similar to what Strange New Worlds has been doing. I mean, Lower Decks has been doing the whole time, but I think they're getting a little bit more deft at it. They're stretching it a little bit more.
Who you say Lower Decks is?
Yeah, and I'm not saying more than Strange New Worlds. What I'm saying is Lower Decks started out with this episodic idea, but with these little character things, little things floating through the seasons. With sort of a season-long arc kind of thing. But you can always load up any episode independently and enjoy it, right? You can still do that, but they're kind of pushing it a little. They're pushing a little more Deep Space Nine style, with the adding in character flavors and bits and pieces.
Poop shelf, gotta give you a little present. A present for the poop shelf.
Oh my god!
I see what you're saying. Yeah, they are adding more of a. They're weaving together more sort of ideas and things now.
Hugo weaving.
When she talked to Petra at the end, did you notice she was like
Aberdeen?
Petra Aberdeen. She was giving her report on her pad, and she then Petra called, and she never finished her report. Did you notice that? She hung up, and she never finished her report.
She probably finished it.
She finished it after she looked out the window not mournfully, like sort of, that was a great shot. Like,
that was really.
shot was
I actually
amazing.
watched that a few times. I thought that was pretty.
That was
awesome.
like when Picard is looking out the window after like Best of Both Worlds Part 2, and he's all like, "Oh yes, I'm fine now," but he's like just all like staring off in the distance.
That is a cool. It made me think that's a cool window to like be next to behind the ship. That's kind of tight.
Tendy's been saying that the entire time.
It's kind of like, remember when they'd have those station wagons where the back seats were facing the out back? Do you remember those station wagons where they'd have have like a third row of seats that faced out the back?
I think they made them illegal because people kept getting rear-ended and the children were getting their legs broken.
Yeah, I would imagine. But it was fun to look out the back.
It was cool. It was totally badass.
As a car was flying into your legs.
Yeah.
Any
other Mariner points?
That was the place to sit.
Mariner points. I mean, I guess there's not too much else to discuss. There was lots of funny individual little bits, of course, with her fighting with various people coming up to the booth, before Boimler went nuts.
Boimler went ape shit.
Yeah, it was a funny assortment of different aliens and aliens you've kind of seen before.
There was that weird silver-headed guy thing, and she's like, "Hey, you like?" He's like, "Hey, you like engineering?" He's like, "Oh, love it. You guys do that kind of stuff." She's like, "Oh, absolutely. We got a whole division for it." That was really. Is that guy with you? Oh, love it. I love engineering. You do engineering? Yeah, I got a whole division.
So this planet, again, I was traveling. I didn't take notes. I forget the name of the planet, but
it's called Toronto.
No, the planet.
That's the planet that he went to, not the planet that the episode is.
I went to Planet Toronto.
Planet Toronto.
This is the
planet Hollywood.
This is the planet they went to in that episode, Envoys, which was episode 2 of season 1, right? When she and Boimler went, and there was the Jamaharan lizard lady.
Was it Talgana 4?
Yeah, Talgana 4. That's right.
Oh, same place.
Yeah, it's the same place.
They said they were back,
and it's like a job fair or something.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was thinking that. Do people still go to job fairs? Don't they just go on the internet now? Couldn't they just look on their pads?
They don't have. As we know from watching all of Star Trek, they never invented the internet. Remember in Deep Space Nine in 2024, like people had computers built into desks, and you had to sign up for channels.
Yeah, but no, they did invent the internet. That's why in that episode of Picard, when they went back in time and they went to that system, they were like, back in this era, they kept everything on one network.
But that's after
they were talking about they were talking about whether it's police reports or medical reports. They kept everything, and that was what the internet. We had a whole discussion about this.
Yeah, it's because Starfleet they got rid of money, but then they just switched over to cryptocurrency. So everything. So everything's all siloed off with a blockchain, and that's why they must have all in Star Trek they always have a hilarious amount of pads. Like Picard will just have like 7 pads, and you're like, why don't you just have one and change which program you're looking at? But it's because they got to keep it all separate.
Yeah,
you got to keep them separated.
Yes. Well, there was the remake of Battlestar Galactica. They specifically unnetworked their stuff so that the Cylons wouldn't like tap into their shit. So maybe like security became so bad because we all know that like there's always systems being compromised and shit like that through whatever. A lot of that, most of that is actually socially engineered inside incidents. It's usually not people like hacking passwords by like figuring out the password. It's usually phishing scams where they socially engineer people,
or they just walk in and look at the little post-it note and they say,
exactly.
They say they're there to like clean the waste paper basket.
It's usually by stuff like has nothing to do with the technology. It has to do with the people,
corporate espionage.
Or anyway. So maybe so much of that had happened that they finally got rid of the internet.
If you were a Starfleet officer tasked with social engineering, would you wear like a yellow uniform?
It's a blue.
I have no idea what.
No, it could be yellow or blue.
No,
I'm making an engineering joke.
I think it's a blue.
I don't get it.
If it was a social science, it would probably be blue.
No, you see,
it's an engineering.
If you wear a yellow shirt, you're a victim of social engineering.
Because you became an engineer,
because you can't get a.
It's one of those classic. Difficult to interpret Jesse statements.
You got an ops job.
Look, my only point was that they got rid of the internet because of the security issues. So that's why they have 7 pads, because they're not networked, and they can't use disks because disks are too easily lost apparently. So they have to have that's why they have separate devices,
and that's why they have a job fair with separate booths.
Okay, so Talgana 4. They said they were back at Talgana 4.
Yes.
When were they there before?
We just talked about this. Envoys. Episode 2 of season 1.
Okay.
There we go, with the Jamaharan lizard girl.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Wait, is that the
it's
one-
a place that they
Wait, is that-
go to a lot, I guess.
Is that the place where they went through the planet and there was all these like different like aliens?
Sectors, yes.
Aliens
Yeah, different
everywhere?
sectors.
They went to the Andorian bar and all that.
I like-
It must be some sort of like Nexus planet where everybody goes. So that's where there's going to be a convention for this and a convention for that and a fucking.
There was that dude eating like a whole rat on a stick.
Yeah,
and I
there's
like
like a
how-
Tellarite.
And I like your first image of it. It's just the head is bitten off, and then later you see him bite off the rest of it. He's not even nibbling on the side. He's just like eating
Yeah.
like this entire
It's
rat.
like he's eating a guinea pig.
Yeah, it's fucking sick,
That's
bro.
gross, dude.
All right.
Tellarites are gross.
Let's take a quick break,
Yeah.
and then
Fuck Tellarites.
and then
I
we'll
know,
talk.
right?
We'll talk a little bit about Boimler and
Oink,
some of these
oink,
other
baby.
fun aliens, and then we'll get to the Rutherford stuff.
Oh, man.
We will be.
Are you serious?
Right back.
Beck.
We're gonna be right back.
All righty, we're back.
I think we're back now.
We're back. We have returned
Are you back, Dan?
from the first break.
Are you right back?
I think Dan needs another break. Okay, let's take another break.
I think we need a bigger break.
We got well. Okay,
Think we need a bigger break. It's like that's like that boat.
that's a Jaws. That's
Yeah.
a Jaws joke.
I like how Boimler was all stressed out about his cool model.
Oh, yeah, and he was like, "Oh no, not the gazer," because
Yeah.
it was a model of the Stargazer.
They never showed where he
That's
got it.
right.
He just had it. They
Yeah.
didn't show him like playing with it earlier or anything.
No.
He just kind of had it.
Well,
And I think it's just by
It's
this
part
time.
of their props.
By this
Yeah,
time,
it's part of the props.
by this time, we also know that Boimler's into like that kind of stuff.
Well,
so-
and again, it probably does because they have all these other props that go with the booth, right? They have the stand-up that has presumably Kirk and Spock with the
That's-
faces cut out, and then
yeah.
there's like a
That was
Horta
pretty
behind
cool,
them.
yeah.
And then, Mariner, of course, keeps fucking with the Stargazer model, and Boimler just is constantly just trying to fix it until she's smashes it to pieces. After his freak out, which I guess if you want to stretch it a little, you could say, here's another reflection. It's like the two sides of Boimler. It's like the good boy Boimler and then the freak out. He's had enough finally,
They had
Boimler.
those aliens that trap you in games.
Yeah, the move
Yeah.
along home, the
Move
Wadi.
Along Home,
They're
yeah.
called the Wadi.
yeah. So this was not only this was
Stop trapping people in games.
yeah. So
They had the gems on their foreheads.
what's great is they look like tabletop gamer type
And they
people.
they had that
Yeah.
VHS Klingon game.
They got dice in their foreheads.
What was the Binosh, the
blah, blah.
blood wine and Binox.
Oh yeah, that's what they
whatever.
were playing in that episode. A couple episodes
Beignets.
previous.
Yes, beignets and Binox.
So there was two things. First of all, it was such a surprise to see Boimler freak out, right? Like you don't expect to see that. But it was also the classic gag of like the one who's keeping their cool is the one who
Yes.
flips out the most.
And he told that
where it's like
Ferengi to beep, beep.
we're like watching for Mariner to freak out, but no, it's Boimler, and boy did he ever freak out. Boy, we get this really cool flap. I'm sorry, that was I was talking about their uniforms.
Well, I did
That
like
is pretty cool.
That was a cool flap.
the lab people who are all like, we get to wear a belt. Do
Yeah.
you get to wear a belt?
You get to wear a belt. And they took his rank pip and threw it.
Right. So I know they're not military, so it's not some kind of weird offense. Okay, well it is. Okay, shouldn't Boimler?
They are a
Military.
pseudo navy.
Yeah,
as
right.
Petra
So-
Aberdeen stated.
Those outpost scientists had goofy ass clothes. on.
Okay. So Petra
Okay,
Aberdeen says they were a pseudo navy, but they're not officially a navy, so it's not like. Anyways, the point I'm getting at is when shouldn't Boimler be forgiven when they took his rank pin? When they took it.
Well, he is forgiven.
Not really. He spent a night in the brig. Like,
no, that counts as being forgiven because that's like the classic military thing of like you did the right thing, but you went outside of the thing, so we have to.
No, but like if
the culture
isn't-
requires us to punish you.
Okay,
But you
it-
get like points
No.
in the grand scheme of
Yeah.
things.
No, but isn't that what I'm talking about in the immediate? Isn't that like fucking assault to take like an officer's pin and just take his
Oh,
uniform
yeah.
and
Yes,
rip
but
parts off of
it's
it?
also assault to then assault people that didn't do that.
Yeah, that's
which
a good
was
point.
everybody else. He was turning over tables. It's kind
Yeah.
of like the self-defense.
Yeah.
What would happen-
Self-defense stops being
People-
self-defense
people
once the person
paid.
stops being a
Look,
threat.
and
People
I'm-
paid to use those booths. There's a fee. You pay for a table. You pay for 2 tables.
I'm not going to pretend I know what happens in these kinds of situations. I'm just saying that, like, imagine, and I know they're not military, and I know they're its own thing, and I don't know what rules they got going on, but just imagine what would happen if someone tried to pull that shit with Picard. Like, you'd get some security on your ass, like, real fast.
Well, yeah.
Picard's
a captain.
He wouldn't.
Yeah, but still, they're still part of the same.
At the booth, I think he put Wesley at the booth.
Yeah, but I mean, you're still part of the same organization. Look, I don't know.
It's just you're changing the criteria sufficiently that it makes it difficult to compare the two scenarios.
I think that the best argument that you can give is the one you said where he started attacking other people.
Yeah, because imagine if somebody comes up to you,
if he pulled some kind of like double hand punch or like a chop on the person who took his pip, I think he would have been warranted. I think he would have been warranted in doing that.
If somebody came up to you and took your glasses off and threw them on the ground, and then you punch that person in the face, you would technically be in the wrong, but everyone would be totally fine with it.
No.
But if you started punching all the other people who had previously aggravated you but had not assaulted you, then that would be a different story.
And this comparison is not a perfect comparison, and some would argue it's not a comparison at all. But in here in the U.S. anyway, if you took a cop's glasses, he could beat the shit out of you, and they would be in the right.
That's a cop, and no, that's not.
That's why I'm saying I don't know.
They're not cops, but cops are not the same as military.
I know, and I'm not trying to.
Military's not cops.
I'm not trying to make a direct comparison. I'm just saying that there are different levels that you allow depending on. Starfleet? They're not considered civilians, are they? No. I don't know. No, they're not.
No, it's the military.
It's the military.
They're actually the whole Petra Aberdeen line about the pseudo navy is commenting on the tension that has always existed in Star Trek, because they're trying to present this as a and this was, by the way, this was mentioned in Star Trek 6. It's been mentioned a few other places. That tension between, we're just an exploratory force who have the most advanced weaponry who go around maintaining the Federation empire.
So they would. So in that case, you'd think they'd have some kind of protections put in place that would allow you to prevent someone from assaulting you if you're a member of Starfleet.
But it also depends on jurisdiction, and on Tolgana 4. I think in the envoys...
Tolgana 4, where the Ion doesn't allow you to use transports, Baby Bear would have known that.
I don't think that's a Federation planet. I think it's just one of those... That's why, like Jesse was saying, they
paid for that booth.
It's a species soup planet where everyone can come and hang out.
Species soup.
They paid to use that booth.
I guess it does get complicated when you start talking about jurisdiction and different planets and shit like that.
Don't give me any of this jurisdiction shit.
What?
That's a line from a like a TV show or a
what?
movie?
No,
a TV show or a movie.
That's not like anything I've ever heard. What?
So we saw the Wadi. We saw the outpost scientists.
What are you talking about?
The truther people.
Oh yeah, the butt bugs.
And he's just like yelling up at all these people. The Wadi one was my favorite when he was like, "Stop trapping people in games."
They're just looking around.
It's such a non sequitur, but it's a sequitur because it makes sense in the lore of Star Trek.
I thought it was an astute point that he was like. He made two about the collectors. One being like you're trying to like find like meaning in your life through like just like random crap, which is like that's like a real thing. Plus, also, I'm sure their ship does smell like ass because they've got all this old shit collected from everywhere. So,
and then like the funny silvery alien was all like, that guy got all that confidence from being in Starfleet.
That guy got all that confidence from me. I can't even go.
He's
my
like,
voice
he told a Ferengi to go beep.
My number one Starfleet.
He's my number one dad.
What were some of the other aliens and stuff? Oh yeah, there were the collectors, the truther people, and the truther people. Of course, you got to comment.
Collectors.
The collectors were the ones that Dan was talking about. You know, when Boimler was talking about, you guys collect stuff. And
he's like, you guys are trying to fill some hole in your hearts with collecting junk.
The conspiracy people, they mentioned the whole butt alien
butt
things
bugs
from the TNG episode.
I'm gonna bust your butt.
Conspiracy.
What's it from? I'm gonna bust your butt.
Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
That was with Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah.
Guest starring on Bob's
and
Burgers.
H. John Benjamin.
That was the guy driving
Christmas,
the candy cane.
Candy cane.
And H. John Benjamin, who played Bob, who also played in an episode of Short Trek.
Jingle in the Jungle.
Oh, that's right.
H. John Benjamin. Was that the name of the episode? Jingle in the Jungle?
No, but they're playing that song.
That was an episode that we talked about
with the Short Trek with H. John Benjamin.
Yes, we did. Was Dan there for that, or was that when Dan was out on secret missions? Dan might have been out on secret missions.
I was on secret missions for the Tribbles. episode.
Yeah, that was a Tribble episode.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Like, Jesse and I did a whole series on Tribble episodes. You can scroll back in the podcast feed or do a search on the website for Tribble, and you can find those episodes.
Or rub it on your butt.
We did a whole series on the Tribble.
Yeah, we did
episode.
all the
you can
Tribble
take
episodes.
it. You can take your phone and rub it on your butt.
Whereas we've only done one Mirror episode. Mirror Universe.
No, we did Mirror, and we did in a Mirror Darkly. We did the Enterprise.
What was the name of the episode?
We didn't do any of the Deep Space Nine
right.
episodes.
What was the name TNG episode name where Riker is like dreaming and he's like, I'm not crazy, and he's in the play and the world's falling apart?
We did that one.
We did that.
I forget the name of that episode.
That one was called Reflections.
Yeah, that's what I was. I think that's. It's not, but I mean, that's what I was getting at. That's funny.
Well, you look that one up, and I'll make the other point before we close down the Boimler talk. When the conspiracy people were all like, whatever happened to Cisco, and they're
I think it's frame of mind.
Yeah, it's frame of mind.
It sounds nothing like
he was, and Mariner is all like, he's hard at work in the celestial temple.
Oh yeah, right.
So I guess that's our first canon on-screen confirmation that at least at this stage Cisco has not yet returned from
It's easy to forget that that's what happened. Well, okay, well wait.
We don't want to spoil too much Deep Space Nine stuff.
But Lower Decks is set
after
not
Nemesis.
that long after Deep Space Nine. Like it's
after Deep Space Nine, after Nemesis.
It's after it, but it's like
Deep Space Nine is still floating around.
After it,
still floating around. Mariner's been there, and we're, I believe, from the season preview, there was at least an indicator that we would be going. There's a strong indicator that we're that we're going to Deep Space Nine at some point, so that'll be cool.
There's been talk of an episode with Deep Space.
Yeah,
Deep Space Nine.
And what's with the? There's like a crossover episode.
Oh yeah,
with Strange New Worlds. Now is that's
going to be on Strange New Worlds
on
season
Strange
2,
New Worlds,
directed by Jonathan Frakes.
It's a live
Wait, there's going to be a what crossover?
So there's a crossover with Lower Decks in Strange New Worlds,
directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Wait, how did you guys find this out?
With Tawny Newsome and
it's been the buzz.
Jack Quaid.
It's been all the buzz
since for how long?
For months.
Yeah.
What? How did I miss this?
Well, at least like a month.
Before Lower Decks.
Am I some
started,
kind of asshole or something?
No, you're just ignorant.
it's a live action appearance of the actors that play Boimler and Mariner.
It's a live action. Are they playing actually Lower Decks people? Or
There's going to be cartoon elements. All we know is there's going to be cartoon elements and live action elements. However, they said it's not going to be Roger Rabbit. It's going to be, so we'll probably, with luck,
maybe it'll go back and forth.
Everyone's hoping we're going to see cartoon Pike and live action Mariner and Boimler.
It weirded out the Strange New Worlds cast. What I was reading, like Anson Mount thought it was weird or something.
Oh, I bet he thought it was awesome. But maybe
they liked it, but it was like a bizarre experience.
Do you think they're going to be live action when they're on the
maybe
Enterprise?
It's funny because normally you're calling all the other ships Enterprise.
I'm such an ass. I am an asshole.
In this case, yes. That's
why didn't anyone tell me my ass was so big? Sorry, that was asshole. Major asshole. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Keep firing, assholes.
Spaceballs.
Yes, that is Spaceballs.
So, do you think there'll be live?
Mr. Coffee, Mr.
Do you think?
Mr. What is it? Mr. Video?
Mr. Video.
With the bleeps. Raspberry.
The bleeps, the sweeps, and the creeps.
I didn't get that raspberry joke until...
I did not get that joke for many years either.
Anyways.
That'll be for It's Got Spaceballs.
Yeah.
That's a subtle one.
Episode.
But do you think it'll be live action when they're on the Enterprise and then cartoon when they're on the Cerritos or something like that?
I don't know. I cannot speculate. That's as good a speculation.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah. I'm so smart.
Yeah, okay.
Anything's possible.
I like back at the Rage.
To the end of the rainbow.
Did you notice that during Boimler's range, he rage?
So first of all, the phrase is anyway. Back at the ranch.
Yeah.
You said anyway back at the Rage.
Yeah, I did that on purpose.
Which I presumed was on purpose.
The range.
Play on words because...
Did I say during Boimler's ranch? Is that what I said?
No, because Boimler was raging out. No, what you did say is you said Boimler's range.
Oh, wow. That is weird.
Like his gun
range. And ranch range?
His shooting range?
His acting range?
Okay, during Boimler's rage...
His range, like what my grandma used to call the oven.
Yeah, right.
They still call him
that. That's an oven and a stove combined.
My grandma's dead.
No, I mean, it's not that... Jesus Christ.
And his grandma didn't
She was
use
95
now you
when she
really
died.
make me feel like an asshole.
She was 95.
She didn't use a they pronoun.
Now you make me feel like an asshole for saying that your grandma doesn't say that anymore. No, I meant that nobody said. I mean,
Nobody says.
wait, no. I meant sorry. You made me feel like an asshole because I was like, your grandma still says range. And you were like, no, my grandma's dead. But that's not what I said. What I said was people still say range.
Some people do.
It's still a thing. You look in the Sears catalog that you get in the mail and it still says by range. During Boimler's rage.
You just flipped to the lingerie section in the Sears catalog.
Yeah. And then I go, yay.
Wait, there's not still Sears.
Well, there's,
Yay.
I don't know. Sears, I don't think Sears is 100% on the business yet.
It's called Robux now.
Roblox.
Robots.
Sears and
called robots.
Sears Roblox.
Sears and Roblox. Okay, during Boimler's rage, did you notice he very carefully...
There's going to be a novel called Boimler's Rage, and it'll have one of those Star Trek novel covers, like the paperback novel covers, where like Boimler's all like super like.
Except his like
he's like translucent
chest will
over
be
a
all
pattern,
out, and it'll be all
like over a
good.
planet.
It's going to be a sex book. What, yeah, like
Jamaharan. Boimler's Rage 2. Jamaharoni.
when he was talking, when he was like,
loner.
when he was stomping on the table talking about how he failed the Kobayashi Maru
17 times.
Afterwards, he like grabbed a pencil and he very carefully broke it in half. Like all that range, he was just like and just broke a pencil.
Yeah.
I thought that was amusing.
A really cute thing.
Super cute. How cute is it? Cute as a kitten?
It was.
Is it cute as a kitten?
I will leave it to you to judge.
Is it cool as a kitten?
You mean a cucumber?
Is it cute?
All right. You don't have the excuse of having traveled internationally.
I have the
today.
excuse of being me.
This guy went to British North America.
Yeah, why'd you do that? That sounds like fun. I went to I went to Montreal
close part
recently.
of Canada.
I went to
That's
Montreal
right.
recently.
It's also in the near Canada.
I went to Shefford, actually, which is a suburb.
opposed
I
to
guess a
far
suburb. I
Canada.
don't know if you call it a suburb, but it's
Of Montreal.
it's outside of Montreal. Is Montreal technically a city though? I don't know.
What do you?
Is Canada technically a country?
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Montreal. What do you, anyway,
I mean, when I think of cities, I think of big buildings. Could you? What I'm saying is, could you call? I was wondering if you could.
big
Right.
I was thinking, could you call Shefford a suburb of
It's
Montreal?
a city like Falls Church is a city.
Right. Yeah. So, like, could you call Springfield a suburb of Falls Church?
How
I don't
about
know.
this? How about this?
No.
Let's talk about what's cute. And what's
Okay.
cute.
Kitties are cute.
This guy over here is pretty cute.
What's
Aw.
cute is that Boimler, who is now for the first time ever in the brig, and one of the running gags they've had
Really?
in the
The
brig
first time?
when we see Mariner in the brig is she's drawn a little illustration of her little fortress in there, like Mariner's, castle or whatever, a little fortress. And now that Boimler's in there, he's added a little extra drawing that says like Boimler's guest house. It's like a separate little building
Oh,
scrawled on the wall.
I did not.
I didn't
catch
notice that.
Next to that,
It's
yeah.
cute.
You know what's funny? I didn't
never
notice
get
that.
to
I didn't
watch
notice
the
that either. I
episode
read
as
that
much
on the
as I'd
internet.
Oh, you read it on the. You
Yeah.
read it on one of those.
Somebody
Easter egg
else
articles?
noticed it. Other people with keener eyes than I.
Keener eyes than I.
I had to watch the
Eagle
show
eyes.
in a hotel on my laptop using a
Yeah.
VPN to trick Paramount Plus into thinking I was in the United States.
I like
of
to watch it
America.
on my phone and it's all teeny tiny.
You know what's weird about? Well, you had to watch it on your phone.
No, I'm just joking.
Oh, that would be crazy. I've done that
I
before.
watch. I do it, but
You do it.
I do it.
You said do.
But I also watch it.
What do you
know.
do? Do you do your meat sandwich that you had earlier for dinner? Do you do your meat sandwich that you
I
ate
don't
for
eat
lunch?
meat sandwiches. What is this? What are you talking about?
You do too. You do too.
I do not.
You do too. You know, the whole VPN thing is funny because like
It's hilarious.
because it's like they say
It's like
no,
Dumb and Dumber.
because they say like okay, you're only allowed to access this here and this here and this here and this here. That's how it is. You can't do that. It's like, oh yeah, well I can legally circumvent that with a VPN, and for some reason it's legal to do it. It's just so weird. It's like it's weird that it's even a thing
What
at
else
all.
is weird?
Netflix actually goes out of their way to block a lot of VPNs.
A lot of them try to block it. Yeah.
It would block.
It's just
It
they would
worked.
block.
Luckily, it worked for me. But anyway, the point I'm making is that when I initially watched this episode,
I watched you watch it.
it was on my laptop screen. And then when I came home,
that way's cool.
Did you watch Beavis and Butthead on the Paramount Plus as well?
well, actually, I tried to and it didn't work.
Beavis and Butthead didn't work.
Beavis and Butthead didn't work.
Beavis and Butthead
Lower
didn't
Decks
work.
luckily worked. Beavis and Butthead didn't. When I came home, both of them worked, no problem, because I was back home in the United States of America and did not need to use my VPN any longer. And I was able to watch it on an appropriately sized television screen. America.
Television.
We have appropriately sized screens.
Why can't Canada just have the same janks as America?
I don't know. It's the Paramount Plus thing.
Can't we just go like,
that's
lame, man.
It is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's that whole thing where you could watch Discovery on Netflix over in Europe.
Streaming without borders. Come on.
It's not just Canada. It's all over the world. Like you could watch Discovery on Netflix for a while in other countries.
Like British Netflix has all kinds of shit on it that like American Netflix doesn't have.
Yeah, and you can use your VPN from America to access it.
I could just use my Netflix app on my phone when I was in Britain. All of a sudden I had access to all this other
but
stuff.
it's different Netflix stuff. And Paramount Plus doesn't have that yet. I had that when I was in Central Europe last year, where I was trying to look at stuff, and I eventually had to get the VPN set up.
Wait, you couldn't watch? Wait, it was geo-locked to what your settings were or something?
No, Paramount Plus just simply did not work at all because I think it wasn't out yet in Europe, right?
I see.
So it just detected a European IP address because the intellectual property laws globally are a wicked tangled web of nonsense.
Yeah, they're also silly.
I question the evergreen nature of this part of the content.
Right, because because next year they'll have solved it all.
People will know.
Everything will be resolved.
So speaking of how episodes of Lower Deck are,
I wasn't speaking.
Are more becoming. We were earlier. Are becoming more intertwined in remaining episodicity. At the beginning of this episode, when they were when it was showing Rutherford having some kind of weird flashback, I was thinking in my head, I was like, you know what? When are we going to get around and follow up on that whole Rutherford sneaky memory from last season? Remember how last season they uncovered that sneaky memory, and
it's a very short and when that cold open.
And at the beginning when they just show him having old memories, I was like, that's really weird. They haven't talked about that memory thing yet. I wonder if they're going to get around to it. And they got around to it this episode.
They totally did.
So they did that on purpose.
They got around to
a lot
of it.
They got around to it. They led me on a leash and they got me right to it. They
kicked you right in the balls.
They reeled me in. They kicked me right in the balls and they reeled me in. So yeah.
Well, I'll remind you that last week with the previous week to last week, the mining the mind's mines. I thought that was going to be about digging into Rutherford's mind. So
they led me more easily than you.
I mean, not that any of this matters to anyone at all.
So when they were in that. Okay, first of all, what's the deal with why was this?
What's the
I can't remember the deal with the Sequoia. It was all beat up and drawn upon. I can't remember what happened with it. Was that during last season?
No, in the first season. It was in the first they were fixing up the Sequoia over the course of the entire season.
That's what it was.
And then they used it to save the day.
And that's
in the season finale of season 1.
Right, okay. They used and so it's still beat up.
Since then it's always in the background because that's where they hang out and chat and do team building exercises.
And they kind of tinker at it.
So
team building exercises.
So here, the whole Tendi purging Rutherford's cache is a really weird idea. So in this instance,
I didn't know what to think.
They've talked about this before.
No, wait. In this instance, what's the difference between someone's memories,
erasing
your memories, and erasing a cache? Because normally everyone knows that purging.
Everyone knows.
Not everyone knows, but
clearing your cache.
Whenever you clear the cache,
proper cache management is the hallmark of high quality mobile applications.
Speaking of in high amounts of generality, like look
high amounts of generality.
Just let me fucking say this. Can I just fucking say this?
I welcome it. I wanted to wash over me. I just wanted to wash over my skin.
Okay, so usually when we're talking about purging cache, it's there's
hey guys,
God damn it, Jesus Christ! You said I could fucking talk.
We gotta go out on the.
Can we get through one episode without this happening?
I wanna go out on the.
It's going so well. Everything's going so well, and then you just start pulling this shit.
I just want to purge some cache.
Oh my god,
baby.
Okay, usually when we're talking about purging cache, we're not talking. Now you're talking about like fucking masturbating and shooting batching some jism or something. I'm gonna go purge cache. Excuse me, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I gotta purge some cache.
But see, you heard it too. You stopped.
I stopped it because you fucking planted in my brain.
I incepted
You
you.
planted some.
I fucking incepted
You planted
you.
some cash in my mouth.
I incepted you.
Okay, so when you erase the
A
cash,
lot easier than the movie made it seem.
when you erase the cache, we're all taught if we're taught anything, we're taught that erasing cache, generally speaking, does not erase the necessary info on your device, right? Yeah. It's usually safe to erase the cache. All it does is it'll get rid of some stored passwords or
like
login information.
Not shit, right?
Yeah, not passwords, but login information.
Hence why Tendi wasn't worried about there being any kind of issue.
Right. So what's the difference? But no, she specifically said, she was like, oh, there's just that old memory of from when you called the captain mom. So that's a straight up memory. So what's the difference in this case between memory and cache? Because she's straight up talking about deleting some of his memories. Because she was like, oh, we'll just get rid of this memory you don't need, like when you called the captain mom. So that's like, it's not like she cleared in login information from his brain.
Maybe it's like instead of dreams, in lieu of dreams.
Yeah,
maybe she's in lieu of dreams. I can see that. I can see that. That's actually pretty clever, Jesse. I'll go with that.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, in lieu of dreaming.
That's
but
all
I bet,
got.
But I bet he still dreams. But all I can like purging cat.
I bet he still dreams.
All
you never say it.
It should. I would just imagine that it wouldn't have anything to do with his actual memories. It would have to do with his automatic login abilities.
You've observed an inconsistency, and I think it's important. It's important.
And then later on, she's all worried. It's like, did I just delete my best friend? She should know that purging cache doesn't won't cause any damage unless.
What about shoveling?
Unless
coal?
it's a brand.
It's a scientific study suggested it's actually very healthy.
Unless the carpet's brand new.
What about shoveling
carpet?
coal?
Jesus, you're jizzing on the carpet again.
Again. Just don't bring any black lights around and we're good. Okay.
I think you need that chemical. You need to spray that chemical. I don't think it's sufficient for the biological material. I think you need to spray the chemical to help act.
Okay, fine.
What?
Like the invisible ink chemical?
It's one of the things that TV gets wrong. They get the sound of guns wrong, and I think they get the investigations.
They get the thing wrong where it's like if you light when they make all the sprinklers go off in the entire building by lighting a what are those things called?
A lighter.
A lighter.
A lighter.
When they light a lighter near one of those sprinklers in the building, and the whole building like ruins all the computers and shit.
That seems unreasonable.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah, because it needs to melt it, right? That's the whole
point. It's got to melt
the
little clay.
It needs to be hot enough to melt the little doodad, and then the sprinkler goes off.
Right. It doesn't like cause all of them in the whole fucking building to go off.
I don't know. I honestly can't comment because I don't work in that industry.
And the guns, like, and so often people point guns like and shoot them inside, like. Fucking, that's loud.
Oh yeah,
that's loud.
Guns
as fuck.
are extremely loud.
Guns are really loud.
You go fucking deaf doing that
every
shit.
time.
Yeah, dude.
On the internet, when people in the neighborhood are always like, "Did you hear? I heard gunshots," and everyone's like, "No, that was just fireworks. It's always fireworks." And when you've never heard a gunfire, and then you finally do. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not a firework.
That's a fucking gun.
They got a sharp, quick retort, and it's 1,000 times louder.
Right. So when I'm watching a show or a movie and people are shooting guns inside next to people's heads and stuff, it doesn't really bother me because I'm like, it's in service.
All these people would be deaf.
It's in service of the plot and the cool action and making it fun. But yeah, the reality, and so I'm willing to suspend my disbelief on that. But the hard reality of that one is everyone would be deaf in fucking within the month.
Because like, do they use like? Does the army use like earplugs when they're having a battle and shit?
I don't think so.
I don't think they do. I've never heard of that.
If you're working artillery
maybe, but just infantry, I don't think. They don't have.
Yeah, I don't know. I know silencers aren't that silent either.
No, they're not like James Bond silent.
No, they don't.
Suppressors.
They're not just using silencers.
Yeah, Okay, Star Trek.
Star Trek. Okay.
How about this? Let's take a break and then
we're gonna go purge some cash.
We're gonna all three of us together.
Go purge some cash.
Collectively purge some cash.
That was the problem. And then we can get back on track.
Yeah, we'll this last bit of don't worry. Up till now, the show's been
we're finally going to get to
completely ludicrous and nonsensical. But this last section is going to be great.
Sex.
It's going to be all coherent and shit.
It's all coherent.
We'll be right back.
Now we're back.
Now we're back.
All right. Thank you, Jesse. Yes, we have returned.
We have coherently returned.
Return to the It's Got Star Trek podcast in the final segment of the podcast.
We'll be discussing Star Trek.
In which we've inverted the discussion this week, and instead of discussing sort of the A plot, we've left it to the end. Because the Rutherford plot, in my view, is
In the
A
rear
plot.
end.
Yeah, that's the best part.
So we learn a lot about Rutherford. One thing we learn is that young version of Rutherford was kind of a chode asshole.
He was a sexual predator. Like when he was talking
was a
to
jerk.
what was the name of the who's the one
Bates.
is that the one who
No,
went on
the
the
Trill.
The Trill?
Is her name Bates?
No, I don't think so. Bates is a different character.
Oh shit!
I could be
Barnes.
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 Was it Barnes?
Barnes.
Yeah.
That's her name.
So he used to be a sexual predator.
It's not a Trill name, but her
He
name
wasn't
is
just an
Barnes.
asshole. He was like a fucking like
Well,
bad
It
person.
was certainly going that way.
Yeah, well,
He
not
was
a bad
creepy.
person. I don't want to say bad person because like just because you say creepy things doesn't
He
necessarily
was
mean you're a bad person. But
suggestively-
he had
But you're walking down that path.
he's walking down that path. He had room for improvement. He needed this. Good thing he switched ways and didn't like sink further into where he was
She
headed.
Did not like the spots comment.
Yeah, I wouldn't. That's not very polite.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not. It's an
I mean, it's
impolite
speciest.
comment.
Racist, speciest.
It could be considered
Unacceptable.
specious. Dude.
Yeah. So, and he transferred. So we find out he transferred from the Douglas station in Stardate 56329.4. This episode,
Meaningless.
This episode took place in 58354.2.
But the star date that he transferred was
56329.4.
Was that like around Nemesis time or before? I think it's around.
It's the Nemesis time.
No, don't say that.
It's the Nemesis time.
No, don't say that. I don't like that movie.
It's the same.
I don't like thinking about it.
It's the
Star
Nemesis.
Trek halitosis.
What is that from? It's the Nemesis time.
I think it's from like a few seconds ago. When you made it up.
No, but what was that? Oh, you don't like thinking about Nemesis?
Yeah.
I thought
whatever the tune you're. I don't recognize the tune you're.
I thought
humming.
because that tune came from somewhere. I didn't invent that tune.
It came.
You don't
from,
like Nemesis?
No, you know I don't like Nemesis.
No,
I don't hate on it.
You don't. No, you don't
I
like
just-
Insurrection.
No.
I had it backwards.
You
I had it
do have
backwards.
backwards.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that one's-
There's a lot to critique about Insurrection.
Better
but
than Nemesis.
Nemesis is for me. If there are many people who love Nemesis, and I love those people, and I love that they love.
I
Nemesis.
love those people. You don't even know all those people.
No, but I'm saying I'm not
He
going to.
knows the type.
I'm not going to the type. I know your guy. No, I don't disrespect people who are into something that I'm not into. I have problems with Nemesis, and maybe one day I will get the opportunity to go through what those issues are.
Solve those
from Memory Alpha,
But other people can and will disagree with my conclusion.
On the Memory Alpha, on the Star Trek Nemesis page on Memory Alpha, the only star date I'm seeing says Captain's Log, star date 56844.9.
And so the other one,
56329.4.
So if we're doing, which we, by the way,
You lost me.
doing it in order does not necessarily mean anything because they always jump around with the star dates.
The biggest offender,
don't mean
the biggest
nothing.
offender of that
Strange New
was I think
World.
a Strange New Worlds, and I think they did that on
Yeah,
purpose because
Strange
it
New
jumped
Worlds
from
was
like
comically-
somewhere in like
yeah.
4 or 5 digits down to like a 2-digit number
Yeah.
or something ridiculous.
Yeah,
like
they
that.
did crazy stuff on Strange New Worlds. Okay, so he used to be a piece of shit, and in the process of being a piece of shit, apparently got roped into some sort of shady business by some conspiracy Star Trek admiral types or captain, whoever that
later
guy was.
at the end, Tendi goes, "So there's someone out there who blew you up."
Well, yeah, because of that whole like engine he was working on.
Yeah, but sorry, we have to take a moment and honor Jesse's. Jesse has something to say.
No.
It's okay. No, you got to do it. I'm serious. You got to do it.
Sneezing.
I know.
Just
No, I'm
sneezing.
not. I'm. You got to do what you got to do, brother.
Okay, so you were saying
I mean, like I should stop sneezing.
No, I mean you can. It's
on
not
the
something.
podcast.
Well, it's not something you can. You can't do anything about it. It's not your fault. Honk.
I didn't do it in the microphone.
he's
Yeah,
just
no,
he's
no,
just-
Jesse. I'm not
We
criticizing.
got to put a disclaimer
I'm-
now.
I'm not-
He's just
on
putting
the
some.
podcast.
He's
I
putting
blew
some.
my nose.
He's purging some cash.
Yeah,
That's what
There
that's
was some
the wrong
cash
direction.
in my
Yeah.
I wasn't criticizing.
Nasal
You got to do what you got to do,
cabinet.
man.
It's a change of the seasons, which means a change in the allergens.
Oh,
in
man.
in the Mid-Atlantic
a
region.
virulent change.
So
you were saying.
So Tendi said there's someone out there who blew you up. Now, technically nobody blew him up. He blew himself up because he was working on what looked to be some top secret project, and it went awry. And it seemed like he blew himself up by fucking shit up. So
he blew himself.
So nobody actually. I mean, yes, that dude probably like hired him to like do some shady shit, but he didn't actually blow him up. That was incorrectly worded.
My interpretation of Tendi's interpretation. Okay. Follow me? My interpretation of Tendi's interpretation.
Wait for it.
is that those people were they weren't just like letting him do that. Like, they were having him do something. They may have been in the room. It may have been their negligence that led to him getting blown up in some way.
Yeah, that's what I kind of took it as.
That's reading a lot into it.
It doesn't, honestly, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't have any effect on anything, like whatever the interpretation of.
I mean, if you're going to say that, none of this matters.
I mean, it's
I'm saying, I'm just
nothing fucking matters.
All I'm doing is commenting on the way Tendi chose to word what we all knew what she meant anyways. I'm just saying to me, it felt like it was worded funny. Is it pedantic? Is that the definition of pedantic?
I don't think so.
Is it it's pedantic? I'm going to look at pedantic. Of or like a pedant.
I love that. Yeah,
God, fuck those definitions.
I mean, it's correct.
Jesus Christ.
It was interesting that we saw a blowed up Rutherford. He was all horrifically mangled and fucked up.
Yeah, that was something.
A person who's excessively concerned with minor details and rules or with displaying academic learning. So I was being pedantic.
Pedantry.
Wait, you were being pedantic?
Now you're being sarcastic.
Yeah, and a little bit cruel.
A little bit cruel.
Oopsie doodle.
Oopsie doodle. Yeah, like he said, oopsie doodle. Oh, last time I heard that was when Ned Flanders said that in The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Oopsie doodle.
I think Rutherford said oopsie doodle before.
I don't know.
I think so.
But I think I like the...
Oh, no, wait, it was Bad Rutherford who said, he goes, oopsie doodle, I can't remember when the security shift changes. She's like, it's no 900, silly. He's like, of course. And I like how she puts her head in her hand and goes, hee, and they're like, ha, 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 ha. It's so over the top and ridiculous. But it's awesome.
Again, which is a common...
Jeepers creepers, that's swell.
There's a common trend in Lower Decks where they undercut the tropes of sort of modern TV that's a little bit more cynical, in that Reflection Rutherford is convinced that his crew is going to immediately suss out this guy, this alternate version of him, and realize there's a problem and then work to solve it. And while there is that brief moment where she doesn't realize, as soon as Rutherford pushes her over, the evil Rutherford, like, fucking knocks her to the ground, she immediately is like, oh, there's something wrong.
Right.
And the other cool thing is...
we're in Star Trek.
She doesn't call security. She calls a medical team. She's like, there's a problem with my friend.
Right.
Anaphasic alien.
Yeah. No, that's true, because at first, because at first he seemed worried, like he thought, it seemed like he was going to be worried that this guy was going to go around and like people were going to think he was an asshole. Yeah. But Tendi didn't think he was an asshole, like you just said. She was like realized there was something fucked up about it. So yeah, that's how much of a close friend
she knows her friend. Yeah. And then of course Shax gets involved. And that's all rad and cool and
I really like the
whatever the other kid TikTok phrases there are.
My nickname's Baby Bear. That's stupid.
Yeah,
that's stupid.
Like the jerk Rutherford voice is so great. Like everything's like stupid. And he's got like this chip on his shoulder, and he's just like, hey.
There was one part where he sounded like Mitch Hedberg. He goes, "Graphinated quarter, Joyce. These Cali-class juggers are such fire traps." So look up the comedian Mitch Hedberg.
He was like, "Why'd they put engineering down there?"
Yeah, that's stupid.
Those are the ugliest nacelles I've ever seen. Yeah. Who put engineering down there? That's stupid.
Which is a great. That's a great meta joke, because a lot of people have new Star Trek haters have been like, "That California class ship doesn't make any sense. Why would the engineering hull be separate?"
No, dude, this is my body.
Because I have wondered how they get down to that part.
Whatever, man. I don't take orders from a Reflection.
Is it just transporters? They just use transporters.
Nah, they probably go down there's nacelle struts are thick.
I didn't even talk
about the turbo lift. Go right down there.
When Bad Rutherford's all going like, "Jeepers creepers," that's why he was like, good Rutherford's like, I don't even talk like that. She's gonna see right through you, you goofy goof. Dude, don't do that to my body. I'll kill you. This is my body. Because you erased your own memories, man.
There is something very interesting and profound about this episode in that I think it was, to me, it was a surprise that when we learned Rutherford's background, that he's like really such an aggressive piece of shit.
Yeah.
And that's interesting for two reasons. First of all, it's just interesting at a baseline because it's so different from the character we're used to and how we probably wouldn't like this guy if the Rutherford was still like this.
Exactly. Yeah.
It opens up all sorts of
He would have never been friends with Tendi.
Right.
Yeah, there's all sorts of storytelling possibilities about this, whatever this conspiracy shit, whatever he was involved with, and the other people, what they were trying to do, seems to be engineering related, engine related. Are they coming up with some crazy engine? Is that going to relate to something else? Probably.
Maybe it's the engine that powers the Prodigy.
Yeah, that's a great that potentially would be really interesting.
I was actually thinking last episode about how there was the engineers are constantly like going overtime to fix everything on the ship all the time. Prodigy, how is that able to run off of a crew of like 5-6 people? Because it's
a kid's show.
It's okay. Okay.
Because it's piloted by kids.
That's good enough.
It's piloted by heart, and we're not mocking Prodigy. Prodigy is great, actually.
Yeah, Prodigy is a really good
excellent show. But
it got better as the episodes went on.
Yeah. It started out pretty cool, and then it like got really fucking awesome. Yeah. The other thing is in addition to just sort of storytelling possibilities that this opens up in terms of learning more about Rutherford's past and this whole whatever's going on, it also opens up the possibility, I don't know if they'll take it, but for them to do stories that sort of focus on this ruminate on this idea of like what makes a person, what makes a person a personality, the choices people make, and this idea of Rutherford having his memories erased, resulting in a different personality that is the one that we now know and love. I would be interested to see if they kind of play around with that philosophical idea a bit. Maybe they won't, but they've got the opportunity now. Not that they didn't before, but they've put the marker down that we're dealing with shitty dude and super nice dude after going through these traumatic events and memory erasures. And so they could play around with that idea now.
And he wasn't just an anaphasic presence. He was actually Rutherford. Yeah. When he looked in the reflection, it wasn't a real reflection because the eyepiece was on the right eye in both. When Bad Rutherford was out there and he had the red eye thing and he looked in,
I didn't notice that.
And Rutherford clever. Looking back, they were both on the right eye, so it wasn't a reflection because it would have been on the left eye.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, so
he wasn't a Sub Rosa ghost or other similar.
The episode was misnamed.
Yeah, and there's another point of pedantry.
No, except in this case, it was clear. In this case, I hadn't noticed that, but now that you've mentioned it, Dan, I realize that clearly that was done on purpose.
Yes,
to indicate that this was something squirrely, something fishy going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what happens is they go on a race. I want to see more of the Sampaguita. I hope that Rutherford makes the Sampaguita in the future. They probably won't, but that would be awesome.
That would be because to kind of reconnect a little bit with his past.
Yeah, but he did specifically say we can't merge into
Isn't
one.
That like it's like a national flower or something of the Philippines, something like that? Because I know Eugene Cordero, the actor who portrays Rutherford, is of Filipino heritage, and I believe that flower is important to the Filipino
Sampaguita,
culture.
known as Jasminum sampak, is a sweetly scented tropical flower belonging in the wide genus of jasmines. It's common of the species Jizmans. It's known as Philippine jasmine, Arabian jasmine, Pikaki in Hawaii.
Pikaki?
Pikake?
Governor Pikaki?
I think yes. I think it's from the Philippines. Right. But I think the name would indicate it's also from a couple other places. I guess I don't know. But
the Delta Flyer comes with a special outfit.
Yes, yeah, because
that was tight.
Yeah, because Tom Paris did make those special racing outfits.
So the Sampaguita, which first of all, they established at the end that I guess the reason that we wouldn't see something like that is because Rutherford was like, hey, can't we just merge into one and be one thing? And the other dude was like, no, there's no room for me, dude. And then they separated. So they wouldn't come back because he wouldn't have his old memories, I guess. But so it's not like he's going to merge with his character, but maybe we could see the Sampaguita again. But the Sampaguita was
a variation on it.
Or something like that.
He's been reprogrammed. This is just like some bits that are hanging around that have to get ironed out.
They could still be in there.
I think the Sampaguita in the end was faster than the Delta Flyer, speaking of the Delta Flyer. But the Delta Flyer, its secret strength was friendship.
Yes.
That's why the Delta Flyer won.
That's right. Yeah.
So, but the Sampaguita, the
other guy had no idea that he could do that. And he was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because he never had any friends, so he didn't think to imagine any friends.
Whoa.
Shit, that guy.
It makes me think of that sketch from I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson, where he has that sketch where the baby is crying when he tries to hold him, and everyone's like, "Oh, the baby's just like sleepy or something." He's like, "No, he can tell I used to be a piece of shit."
Yeah, I do remember.
It's a great sketch. You can find it on YouTube, and I think it's useful. It's informative to this episode.
Yeah,
just type in Tim Robinson. I used to be a piece of shit.
Yeah,
the Mariner in Rutherford's dreamscape or whatever says like okie dokie.
Yep, I had.
Yes,
she did. She goes okie dokie, and then
extensions of the Rutherford personality.
Yeah. Oh, and when he saw the Sampaguita, he was like wokey dokey.
Yes, wokey dokey. That was fantastic.
And when Bad Rutherford mentions that he's like, there's black holes, rogue planets, and dangerous nebulas. The only one that Rutherford took note of was like rogue planets. It's like what?
It sounds scary when you think of it because it's just like a fucking asshole planet just barreling around the fucking empty space. Is like I'm not fucking staying in no solar system. Fuck you. I'm going where I want to be. I'm just chilling out in the neutral zone.
And it was like without fail that the Romulans showed up in the neutral zone.
They looked really intimidating. They gave a good sense of it really gave a good sense of scale. This giant ship
those
Diridex
classes they've always been huge. Like when they would show them next to the Enterprise D.
Oh my god.
Which is already a giant ship, and then there'd be like 3 of them. You'd be like, oh my god, they're so huge.
Yeah.
And then the racing course was like a cross between like F-Zero and Pilot Wings.
Yeah. F-Zero's tight.
Pilot Wings was tight.
Pilot Wings was tight.
It was just very difficult.
F-Zero.
You tried to erase all the memories that made us cool, but it didn't work. The brain is more complicated than that, and it kept my cool ass stored away. So blow, here I am, baby. Nah, man, tests are dumb. Ow, my fucking head.
He's like John Travolta.
John Travolta mixed with Mitch Hedberg.
Face off. All right. Anything else to discuss about this episode?
Anything
Any
else?
odds and ends? Any other major points, insightful or otherwise? Any other lines you just simply want to recite?
I liked reciting lines.
You're an anaphasic alien.
Listening to you recite lines.
You like that about me?
Don't talk.
I do.
Jesse called me an anaphasic alien.
No, that's
he said you were an anal phasic.
That's what the
alien.
The bad Rutherford said that to the good Rutherford. He's like, you're an anaphasic alien.
So, yeah, that's true.
Because he was not actually an anaphasic alien.
So there was
the truth.
He was not.
He was not.
There was a pod plant, that had mind control gas from Omicron Ceti 3.
Yeah, well, we've seen that in Star Trek before. I think
Omicron Ceti 3 is...
It squirts out the little puffs.
I think I'm reading that was in the...
This is Ceti Alpha 5!
Jesus. I think that was in the in the TOS this side of paradise.
Yes, this side of
okay,
paradise.
yes, that's what I fucking said, okay?
Yes. I was just enunciating it.
You were just trying to
slightly more clearly.
Because even if I say it right but gobble marble mouth it, you still have to correct me on it.
That episode.
They know now who's being pedantic.
That part.
Me, I'm being pedantic.
God damn it.
They call me Pedantic Patrick.
No, they don't.
That's my nickname.
Pedantic Dan.
Yeah.
Pedantic.
There should be a Lower Decks episode called That Side of Paradise, and it'll be all comical.
That part over there.
Yeah.
Those people.
It's like a Weird Al song.
Yeah, it's like a Weird Al version of Star Trek. Okay, is that going once, going twice? Odds and ends, major points. Dan is perusing all his notes. His thoroughly recorded notes.
What's a Devron race?
Well, the Devron system is in All Good Things. It was in the neutral zone where the the spatial anomaly was appearing in the Devron system, which caused an added complication to Picard's efforts in that episode, trying to limit spoilers for
I don't remember
TNG. But that was in the Devron system.
I don't remember what Borg tech was on the Delta Flyer, but
Well,
did it have something to do with 7 of 9?
Well, no, it's not directly, but once in Voyager started dealing a lot more directly with the Borg, starting in season 4,
Right.
which is why they encountered and 7 of 9, and she joined the crew. But they started experimenting around with all sorts of Borg stuff throughout the last few seasons of Voyager. Mostly related to
Yeah, but I'm wondering-
transwarp technology. And
So
things
yeah,
like
I
that.
guess that it's Borg technology that makes it go floopy floo fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it could have been faster than the Sampiquita based on that alone. But really it was about friendship.
Yeah, mostly about friendship.
It had more seats.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
So you could have all your friends over and eat pie and stuff.
Yeah.
yeah. Purge. What was it? Purge cash.
Purge
Yeah, so you
pie.
could go purge cash together.
Yeah, you eat some pie, purge some cash.
Yep.
All right.
A circle
And then
cash purge.
Eat more pot.
So now we can conclude things, and we can do all.
What are you doing with your hands down there?
Huh? I've got my hand. My
Those are
hands.
action hands.
I've got my hands balled into fists, and I'm kind of bumping them into each
The
other, one on top of
fists.
the other.
Near your
But they're totally closed.
of
It's not a
conviction.
jerk off motion because it's just I'm
They're
emphasizing.
business fists.
I'm emphasizing
Business
the
fists.
point. Okay, you've derailed
Fists
me.
of conviction.
He said business fist. I didn't say that.
But both of you have derailed me from the obligations of the concluding portion of the episode.
Oh, poor Patrick. I'm so sorry, Patrick. Did I derail you?
First on the
Derail
checklist.
you.
First on the checklist. Next week we will be discussing Star Trek Lower Deck Season 3, Episode 6.
Oh shit!
I do not have the episode name handy. I
How
don't
many
know if they've
episodes they
released
got?
it.
10?
10.
10.
10.
That's what we're working. Okay, so
Isn't
that's
it weird?
Every TV's
that,
got 10.
That 3 seasons of shows is only 4 episodes longer than 1 season of show back in the day.
Yeah.
totally weird. So we will be discussing that. That's something for y'all to look forward to.
Think about that.
Unless it's He-Man, then
Put that
4
in your pipe and
seasons.
smoke
4
it.
seasons aren't even as long as 1 season of He-Man.
I know. Yeah, He-Man had like 40 episodes.
If you've enjoyed this podcast,
You can shut up.
you can rate and review. This is going to be a problem. You keep being aggressive to the audience right at the end. Right at the end.
So the last memory is that of bitterness and anger.
They've come with you through all the prior shenanigans and the previous X number of
That's
minutes.
what they get.
And now they're just being treated
You
like
get a kick on the ball.
filth. Like the filth they are. No,
Yeah, now. I hear the secret. I hear it snuck through. I hear it snuck through.
Okay. If you've enjoyed it, definitely please do us a favor. Go rate review in your podcast app that you use. And
Overcast.
If you use Apple Podcasts, that's probably the best because of the ecosystem of the fucking world. You know, the way things work.
Overcast.
Yeah, well, you can be Overcast. We're on Overcast and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and Spotify, all that shit. You can find us. You can just search for It's Got Star Trek, but you can also go to Twitter, and we're very active on Twitter at It's Got Star Trek. Instagram, less active, but you can go there if you like. YouTube, we get increasingly lots of people listening on YouTube.
It's convenient.
You might be listening to this on YouTube yourself. If so,
But you're like watching it.
congratulations. Yeah. So
This is a
YouTube,
You like to watch.
There's a visual graphic.
email is feedback at It's Got Star Trek. If you're
Joseph
into
likes
that,
to watch.
into that old school.
My middle
that
name is
old
Joseph.
school email. You can do that. You can.
They're
write us
gonna
an
dox
email.
you now, Justin.
I doxed myself.
Website.
There's more to dox.
I'm a nobody.
The website is
say that.
Way off the grid.
www.itsgotstartrek.com. And that's pretty cool because there's like cool shit to do on the website, you know?
Yeah,
That's
dude.
pretty cool.
It's cooler than like every website you've ever been to.
It's cooler than a punch in the face.
I mean, I'm not going to support either of those arguments, but the website does
Come on.
have, you can sort by the television, by Star Trek series.
It's a good like
Stuff like that.
guide.
Yeah.
companion to the podcast.
Yeah, it is.
It
kind of is.
Track of the episodes.
Yeah. I think I've covered everything on the checklist.
I think you have to.
Other than,
I think you have to.
Other than to say a heartfelt goodbye to the audience and
a fart held goodbye. I'm gonna give you a fart held goodbye.
Okay, see that doesn't track, right?
What does that mean?
There's creativity, then there's insanity.
There's a heartfelt, and this is a fart held.
It doesn't even.
That's insanity.
What's that, like a slant rhyme? It's not even like you just wanted to say fart. If you just want to say fart, just say fart.
You held a fart. It's like a fart held goodbye.
But like, does that mean it's a
like held in a fart or held like the embodiment of a fart?
That's up for you to decide.
You held in the fart as you said goodbye.
The ambiguity is part of what adds to the humor.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So more of this.
The ambiguity
next week. Okay. Just come back next week.
Come back,
please. Don't leave.
Bye-bye.
Stop trapping people inside of games!